Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Richie from Boston. It is the 10th of September, 2019. Dun, dun, dun. Well, they're not going to do it instantaneously, I wouldn't imagine. But who knows? They could do it while I'm live streaming. So there's that. Is my audio okay? Because I kicked a couple of people out of the chat last night because they kept telling me my audio sucked. And I kept saying there's nothing I can do about it. And then I listened to it afterwards and my audio sucked, which happens. Is it decent now or are we good? Andy Trollinger says 5x5. Rick Swain, 5x5. Lisa Gutt says, hey, Richie. Lisa's got the wrench. Undertaker's got the wrench, 5x5. Good. Albert Bear, Jody J. Ratcliffe, Kyle Gary, Whisper Farm Woodworking, nice. Kimmy K, Christopher Taylor, Angel Bulldog, Argo Centurion. Digna Ortez says they can't hear me. Well, I don't know what to tell you. And yeah, 5x5. What's up, Fallen Baby 2? And Dan Robb from the UK says, what's up? Hello from Delaware. Whatever. Audio here is unlistenable. Audio work. Okay. So that's strange. So the first 200 people said it's good, and then 15 people say it's not. Yeah, audio and video good. Audio and video good. I found out what the problem was. It was an easy one. I just didn't notice it last night. So there is that. At any rate, it could be from maybe turning my head too, because I'm looking at this computer over here. So I'm gonna discontinue doing that. So how do you like them apples? Does it seem muffled? Is it muffled? Does it sound muffled? Little garbled delay. That doesn't even make sense. A little bit muffled. Really? Really? That's strange. That's strange. Yeah, that's good. Like this, right? Stand by. Stand by. All right. How's that? Is that good? Dan Jackson said, you sound great, RFB. Is that better? Is that better? There you go. You know why? Because my butler sucks. He just stands there and stares at me. Creepy bastard. That's why I put sunglasses on him. And he looks like Whitey Bulger, who I did actually meet once when I was a young felon growing up in Lynn. Imagine that. Whitey was no joke back in his day. Funny thing is he wasn't half the criminal the FBI was, and they're still doing their thing. All right, we're good. Good. The butler is creepy, but one of the subscribers sent it to me. The picture over my head, you see the serpent mound. It looks like a penis. Well, then there you go. But have you ever been to the serpent mound? That's what it looks like. So there's a picture of it. If you can't see the serpent, you only see a penis. Well, you know, you might be a Jesuit. I don't know. Maybe you should run for political office. I don't know. At any rate, yeah, turning your head in front of a microphone does make a big difference, believe it or not. So I'll try to discontinue doing that. How's that? At any rate, no, it looks just like Whitey Bulger, actually. If it was Biden, it would be touching me inappropriately. You know what I'm saying? So there is that. All right. So I got a bunch of emails from people that live in Missouri and the surrounding area, and I met a lot of people in Missouri. Speaking of that, do I have it? Do I have it up? I don't. Excuse me. All right. One of the people I met in Missouri, I did a favor for him. I used my social media presence to, Bill, shut up. Yeah, really? Tell me how to talk into a microphone, dude. And I'm going to get pissed off. At any rate, I use my social media presence to bring all sorts of business to this guy's shop out in the middle of the Ozarks. And I just did a video on him, and it's up on Jailbreak Overlander if you're so inclined to watch. So there is that. And I'm going to do a couple of cold weather survival videos in the next couple of days on Jailbreak Overlander. So you probably ought to subscribe, because that's probably going to be the only soldier standing when everything's said and done. Because just because it's today doesn't mean it's over. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. I just got web samples 4 days ago, and I've already got the results from the lab. Are you high, dude? Do you really? Oh man. See, I should probably turn the comments off, because it's already the ridiculousness is pissing me off. At any rate, so the people in Missouri and the associated area have been emailing me and telling me those cobwebs that you saw all over the trees and all over the telephone poles, all over the place, we see that coming down all the time. And I said, awesome. Can you point a camera at them and videotape them if you're seeing them all the time? And somehow that kind of stumped them. They're like, well, maybe somebody with a good camera would, so it just lost it. But long story short, it sounds like this is a common thing out there. You see, we got the ocean over here, so the ocean blows everything around. We wouldn't see stuff like this. And I live in the city, so everybody cuts down trees, everybody kills squirrels. Oh, someone just said, don't get the squirrels. That's funny. Everybody kills squirrels. If you see a skunk in your yard, you have to go out there and kill it right away. People in the city they kill anything that's living so that it doesn't encroach on the paint job on their car, or it doesn't come in their house, things like that, blah, blah, blah. So long story short, I've got somebody in the United States that claims they can give me a clean test. I already know who the health ranger is. Believe it or not, being on YouTube for 10 years, doing what I do, I actually know you see what I got that. So I don't need the avalanche of emails. I know who I can send it to. I just want to make sure when I get back the results, they're legit, because it ain't going to be free. And I also got a guy in Ireland. Now, how sad is that? Is I live in the United States of America, and I'm considering sending them to another country to get test results, because I'm afraid if I send it out, I mean, I didn't get much of it. I got a big freezer bag that was brand new, and I pushed them in there with a knife. So hopefully it all comes through, because it was totally crazy how bad it was. I never saw it that bad in one time in my life. You know what I'm saying? At all. That's bad. And it's incredibly obvious. And these were 20, 30, 40 feet long. This was no joke. That's a tall telephone pole. It's a metal pole to boot. It was all over the trees. And then, I ended up 40 miles away at the Mississippi River, and there they are again. So that was a total trip. A total trip. And if those weren't pecan trees, whatever you call them. Hey, listen, Matt, I see that you guys don't have to do that. I'm going to get the test results. I don't need people sending money. I appreciate it, but the money that people send there, I don't even know where it goes. So thank you, but there's no need. Honestly, I'll get it taken care of. That's what I've got sponsors for the channel for. You know what I mean? They don't have a lot. I could be driving a Ferrari, but instead I drive a 97 Land Cruiser. But again, I digress. This stuff coming from the sky, if these people are seeing this all the time coming down, I've seen this before. I mentioned it last night when I was talking to Big Sib. The stuff that I saw all over the trees, that's the same stuff that the military sprays. That's what they call chaff. They spray it all over a country before we go and spread democracy. Democracy. You know what I'm saying? Because those filaments, heavy metals, barium, strontium, aluminum, and whatever else, all over electrical plant or whatever, they can knock it out. Boom. I can't help but think about how many utility trucks I've seen in the area since I got home on December 8th, which is 2 days ago. It's unbelievable. They're absolutely everywhere. And then I'm getting emails out of everywhere saying that the power's out, the power's out, the power's out. And I've already said this in a live stream before. the wildfires, PG&E shutting down the power. The wildfires are to clear them off their property, and apparently the people in California just ain't leaving. They're just going to keep staying there. They're going to keep staying there. They're going to keep putting up with it. Whatever happens, happens. But I also think they want to see what happens. Imagine if you own a utility company or you're a governmental agency. You want to see what the reaction of people will be when you shut off power to 2 million people for a day or two or three. 1, 2, 3, who knows? Sit back, gather information. How are these people going to react? Are they going to freak out and say, hey, how come you guys don't, how come we pay you, provide us with electricity that causes fires, and your only way to figure out how to stop the fires is by shutting off our power, but we still get charged? You know what I mean? No pun intended. I think that's crazy. And then that leads me to this. Apparently, not enough people know about this. And I'm going to remind you all, and for those that you do know, it is what it is. It's always good to hear something more than one time, right? I've talked about this since 2015. The United States government repeals the Smith-Mundt Act. Now, this has already made its way to websites like Metabunk and Snopes, etc. No, they didn't repeal the Smith-Mundt Act so they could use propaganda on Americans. That's so stupid. They what? They what? They what? They repealed the Smith-Mundt Act because the Smith-Mundt Act was passed by the United States government to protect the American people from the government using propaganda against the American people. Well, they repealed it. So now, if they happen to do something, well, shucks. Let me see if I can come up with a recent example whatsoever at all. Let me see if I can think of something that happened recently that would fall under the Smith-Mundt Act. Okay, here we go. Computer is freezing up. Computer is freezing up. Let's take a look at this. This is something that the Smith-Mundt Act would have prevented. ABC News running a story called Crisis in Syria. ISIS prisoners escape as death tolls rises. Slaughter in Syria. Slaughter in Syria on World News Tonight. It's on all the major news shows. And they're showing the explosions. They're showing another country. They're showing a country attacking another country and presenting it to the world. And it turns out it wasn't even true. Not even a little bit. Not even at all. It was a bunch of dudes in a field, probably private property, I would assume. A couple of dudes, FFL licenses, so they were allowed to have semi and automatic weapons. Pretty much every weapon is semi-automatic. That's how a gun works. And they were doing a finale at a gun show, one of the most American things you could possibly do. So what do they use it for? Propaganda. Now, if the Smith-Mundt Act wasn't repealed for no particular reason, they could have never have gotten away with that. And Big Sib, Brandon, came on here and explained the terminology that they used. They said, this appears to be Turkey attacking Syria. But Americans at home, they're not hearing that word appears. They're seeing explosions and Turkey's attacking Syria. Next thing you know, Donald Trump comes on and says, we got to go to Turkey and spread democracy. You know what I'm saying? It's absolutely unbelievable and ridiculous. And simply looking for this link to use it tonight, I found the Metabunk in Snopes. As soon as it makes it to Snopes, you know it's real. Because as bad as my life was, the guys that own Snopes are still living that same exact lifestyle, way worse. I didn't deal with hookers. They apparently enjoy the use of hookers and such. Oldest profession, I'm told, at any rate. All right, what else did I have here? Real quick. Oh, to the people I booted out of the chat last night, here's the deal. If I mentioned to you that even if my audio is bad, there's nothing I can do about it because I'm live streaming. The only thing that's going to happen is I'm probably going to inadvertently kill the live stream. If you can continue to tell me that the audio is bad, I'm going to block you. So I feel bad about that, but not really that bad. The audio did suck, but that's because I had my laptop cooler plugged in right next to my mic. So it is what it is. Sorry about that. I don't know how to unblock people, so whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, see what I'm saying? Check this out. Amethyst Skies, the YouTuber Amethyst Skies sent me this. I'm glad I remembered her name or his name, whatever. They just found this and they thought that this was news that I should know about. This is incredibly old news, and this, once again, is very, very similar to the Smith-Mundt Act. When you're a lawmaker, when you're a country, when you're a bunch of people like we are, and you live in America, and the actual enemy of America is domestic, like the Constitution said, foreign and domestic. Ours is domestic. They pass these laws because they also pass other laws that most people don't even care about. They just gloss over or don't think anything of or don't have time to know about. These laws right here, where Public Law 105-85 allows chemtrails and biological weapons testing on civilians without explicit consent, that's just a drop in the bucket. They've been doing that forever. And they've also passed laws or repealed laws that would have any of them ever be held accountable for any damages. These guys can do whatever they want to you at any time, no matter what. They're never, ever, 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 ever going to jail. Never, ever. Trump's not going to get impeached. Obama didn't get impeached. Bill Clinton didn't get impeached. Nobody gets impeached. You know what I'm saying? It's all smoke and mirrors. It's political theater. It's bread and circus. It's just no big deal. They're going to keep doing what they're doing. We're going to keep trying to tell people, and then they're going to figure out a way to shut us all up. And it looks like, they found it, because the only people that seem to care about December 10th are me and Stacy B and Upright 88 and Mike Decker and Lee 64 and Prayed Up Productions and Captain Rankin. You see what I'm saying? Regular people, they don't care. They're worried about getting the next iPhone, and they're worried about the Christmas season and so forth and so on. And nobody's noticing that it snowed in Moab in November. It snowed in Colorado 2 feet in November. It snowed in Arizona already. You know what I'm saying? They're doing it, and they're keeping the sheep distracted. I just did a live stream today with a guy that I did a pre-recording. How's that? With the guy that owns Trade Genius, and I forgot. Oh, I showed the national debt clock. The national debt clock, what they allow us to know about, is at $23 trillion. Every taxpayer in America, no matter what, according to National Debt Clock, owes $168,000. Every one of us owes 200 grand. Where's all the money go? It goes into giant 18-wheelers and it gets shipped over to Iraq, and then it gets lost. That happened dozens and dozens and dozens of times. Do you know how much money you can put in an 18-wheeler? Cash money? Lots and lots and lots of it. And when the guy that was standing next to Mayor Giuliani on 9/11 is the guy over in Iraq running things, believe it or not, they all disappeared. Then he ended up in jail. Unrelated, but still. No, Job's a good one. Job's a good one. Said it's a lot more. You heard what I said. I said the amount that they allow us to see on the national debt clock just keeps spinning away. In a month, it goes from 22 to 23 trillion, and everyone's not talking about it. And the actual number is, like I said before, and the guy that owns Trade Genius agreed. The amount of money owed, there isn't enough resources on Earth to pay it back. Think about that. The governments of the world have run up the debt so much. There isn't enough stuff on Earth. There isn't enough gold and diamonds and oil and people. There isn't enough to pay it back. So what do you think they're doing? They're going to do a chewing screw. They're just going to eat all they can and run out because they're never going to pay the bill. That's exactly what's going to happen. The fact that they even allow the national debt clock to go up to 23 trillion, that's another thing where they're just sitting and watching. Like, what is it going to take to piss these people off? They just don't do anything. Every place else on Earth right now, people in third world countries, people in China are freaking out and burning shit and knocking stuff over. And Americans are just, the holidays are coming. Holidays. It's unbelievable, man. It's absolutely unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know why you bring that up now. At any rate, well, the debt clock actually does mean something. It's a very good barometer of how effed we are. Because at one time in my life, the budget was balanced. I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, that all completely changed when George Poppy Bush took office, and then he started ringing it up. You see what I mean? At any rate, long story short, this public law right here of them being allowed to spray chemtrails on us, that's wicked old news. They've been doing that forever, and there's no law to use back against them. I mean, how are you going to beat these people in their courts? You know what I'm saying? It just isn't going to happen. It just isn't going to happen. But yeah, this is old news. It's good info, but it's old news. Like I said, I'm going to get those. I'm going to get the web material that I found tested, but nobody's going to care. But I want to know. I want to know for myself. That's all there is to it. I'm just afraid that I'm going to send it to somebody and see, you know, they're going to say, "Oh, there's nothing here." That's because that would be bullshit. That's the one thing that scares me, but I'm still going to do it. And it's amazing if you can show people like, dude, this was raining from the sky. They're going to be, "Oh, that's great, good, that's good. Oh, that's not good." You know, ooh, the heavy metals, that's bad. Yeah, it is. It is. It is. Ask Mike Decker. He knows what the response was. You know, I hear you. I hear you. I can't knowledge 2020. I don't know what that other word is in front of it. Yeah, I do too. Shayna Honea, whatever that is. Um, Way back in the day, one of my more conspiratorial videos, I wasn't wrong. Science magazines, physics.org, a whole bunch of them. 1 month, they all ran a story saying scientists have spliced the DNA of a spider with a goat, and now they can get as much spider web as they want because they're getting it from a goat instead. Do you see what I mean? They're getting unbelievable amounts. If you don't know, spider web is one of the most durable, resilient things there is. Spider silk is better than Kevlar. Spider silk, when woven together properly, can stop a bullet way better than Kevlar can. Well, I've always thought the only reason they told us about that is because that's where they're using it. That's how they keep this stuff up in the air as long as they do, because chemtrails stay in front of the sun remarkably well. Chemtrails somehow always look exactly like a branch chain DNA. And if they don't look like that, they look exactly like a snake going through the sky. Is that supernatural? I would have to say so, because I think there's a lot more going on than most people know. Even the ones like ourselves that consider ourselves woke. You know what I mean? But what are you going to do? At any rate, let's look at this one real quick. Mimi Prey sent me this. She's good at this stuff. That ain't it. That's wrong. Let's get that guy's email out of there. My bad. Let's try this one more time. Right here. Mimi Bray sent me this. I don't know if she's in the chat. I think she is. This is ITER. This is the tokamak, Oak Ridge National Laboratory. They published this 3 days ago on 2019, December 7th. The ITER tokamak will be nearly 30 meters tall. It'll weigh 50 million pounds. 50 million pounds to make this thing. This is an enormous. It is what it's exactly what it looks like. Look at this. This is going to do the same thing CERN does, except they're going to do it with even heavier objects like argon pellets. They're going to inject shattered argon pellets into super hot plasma when needed to protect the reactor's interior walls from high, blah, blah, blah. We're going to do things, we're going to do alchemy on an amazing level and scale and size never before seen, except maybe the pyramids, because this might be a modern day, new and improved pyramid. And I really still think it's going to be one shot, one kill. They're going to try to blow somebody coming through this clouds with all eyes will see him, etc. It ain't going to work, but they're still going to try, because if you know you're going to be damned for eternity, Why not give it a shot? No pun intended. But yeah, they're trying. They're working on it. There, look at that. Look at that. That looks like a bunch of bacon grease coming out of a drain pipe. That's science right there. That looks like a bunch of cocaine coming out of a straw backwards. Look at this. That's technology. There you go. That'll keep the sheep happy. Yep, that's all they need to know. That's Ida. But I digress. Okay, this is running a little funky tonight. I got one more, I think. Maybe two more. Who knows? This one right here. I don't know the exact validity of this, but ID 2020 Alliance will combine vaccinations and implantable ID microchips. This is on Principia Scientific International. Actually, this is a decent site. I've used this before. But it says, for years we've been watching as Bill Gates, now retired from the company he founded, use his billions to give free vaccinations to people in third world countries. You see, this little paragraph should go on and say, even though in many third world countries, the people that Bill Gates sent to give free vaccinations were murdered. Sometimes their heads were chopped off, but they were straight up killed by the locals because the locals saw that these white people poking their children with needles and then their children turning into responseless rag dolls. They don't talk about that. And Bill doesn't care because he just sent more volunteers into these very, very afflicted areas. It's amazing. We didn't need this when I was a kid, but now that everybody needs them, and this, I believe, might actually come to fruition. So I ain't going to be here for that. And chances are most of you won't either. When the day comes and you have to make a choice whether take a bullet, lose your head, think about long term, man. Think about long term. Eternity. Do you really? I mean, honestly, I don't want to be here in 10 years. I don't. The way it's accelerated in the last year, last 2 years, but specifically the last year, it's unbelievable. All these mind-washed children, crisis actor people dancing around and protesting. This is the only Earth we have. We have to stop climate change. Here's the deal. If these kids had at least acknowledged the airplanes playing tic-tac-toe, at least I know they had something going on. But if you can't see that, you can't see anything. But I don't know what to tell you. And if there's going to be more of them than there are of us, I'm good. I'm good. I had a good ride anyways. You know what I mean? So, but remember, there will be a time when that you will have to make a decision. A lot of people say things, but when the time comes, it's going to get ugly. I'm just telling you. Somebody sent me this story, and I didn't see any relevance to it until I really started to think about it. Sometimes that's dangerous. Where is it? Right here. Bam. This man who had a transplant finds out months later his DNA has changed to that of the donor 5,000 miles away. Well, the mileage between the guy that gave the sample and the guy that took the sample is irrelevant. That's just I don't know, a number. But think about that. If you take a little bit of DNA from something and putting into something else, if it starts assimilating, if it starts changing the DNA of the host body or you or the transplantee, then think about all the shit that I just videotaped being dumped all over Missouri. Is that DNA? Is that, I have a bag of DNA that I don't even know about? Are you breathing that in? Was I breathing it in? I'm sure I was. I didn't see it right away. You know what I'm saying? I was just lingering around a gas station because Richie from Boston spends a lot of time in gas stations when he's on the road because he drives a Land Cruiser, first off. And second of all, he beats the living shit out of it while it's on the road and things break. And then he complains about it. I only saw those because I happened to walk over to a very specific location. And the night prior, I was praying to God to give me discernment to understand exactly what the means and methods of keeping chemtrails in the sky was. The next day, I'm standing there looking at a telephone pole, actually looking at the tree, thinking it was spider webs. And then it dawned on me, those ain't spider webs, because if those are spider webs, and we live on a planet covered with spiders because they should be everywhere, but they weren't. And the reason I know that is because the night before I was woken up about 6 times because I was freezing my ass off. You know what I'm saying? It was that cold. Spiders aren't what you call cold weather things, unless they got little North Face jackets, little Columbia jackets or whatnot. But I don't think that was the case. So long story short, I'm sure me, you, and everyone we know, and every person with Morgellons disease have been breathing this in for years. And yes, you will assimilate and it will change if we are to believe this magazine. That's the big if. I'm believing what God puts in front of me, and that's all there is to it. You know what I'm saying? Without a doubt. If you've ever spent any time around me, as much of an asshole, as unpleasant, unsocial, depending on my mood, God puts things in front of me and I relay them to the best of my ability. And that's all there is to it. I had some guy the other day. I mean, do you think I'm secretly reading a script? You know what I mean? I make videos when I make videos. I almost always make them right as they come to me. Boom, there's the video. That's that. I made a video the other day, and in the comments, somebody said, Richie, you're blaspheming God, and you know it. And I said, yeah, no, I'm not. I had mentioned that, in my opinion, if you read the Bible, Jesus tells somebody, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. You get that? If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Adam and Eve sin. Everyone after that has to pay for it forever, right? That's the deal. Kind of a lame deal, but it is what it is. I didn't come up with the rules. I just read about them. So God so loved the world that he came to earth in a fleshly form and died the most brutal death, getting whipped with a cat of nine tails with hooks on it. If you think that's a fairy tale, then look up the Shroud of Turin because it happened. Now, once again, that is totally surrounded with meta bunk and Snopes bullshit. And oh, they did a DNA test. It turns out it was from the 16th century. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It's all bullshit. Complete total bullshit. I met one of the dudes that photographed the Shroud of Turin when they were allowed to photograph it. I forgot what his name is. It's a wacky name. He looks like he was a bass player in Def Leppard, but he really was a photographer that took pictures of it. The image left in the Shroud of Turin was created by something like a tokamak, an enormous burst of energy that we could probably only equate to, wait for it, the sun blowing through that cloth, leaving a perfect impression, scars and all. So it happened, in my opinion. This dude saying that me saying Jesus was God was blasphemy. Well, here's the deal, dude. I can't even fathom how that is somehow blasphemy. Do you see what I'm saying? It sounded like God took a transporter and then made himself a man on earth. But I'm no biblical scholar. And if I said it in a way that offended you, I don't know what to tell you, homie. All right? At any rate, Richie from Boston, like, share, subscribe. Go check out Jailbreak Overlander if you want to. And you can see the dude that I hung out with a couple of days. He was a good dude, man. And everybody I met down there, without me saying words, kept telling me that God came first. That's not something I hear around here. But I am going to get those things tested. The next few days, you're going to have to put up with it. I've got 3 sponsors for the channel. I always have. I got to kind of hurry up and get through. Instead of spreading it out, I got to bang them out in a couple of days so I can pay for this. So don't complain or complain, whatever. You know what I mean? Every single person, every single place that sponsors me is legit. They're Christian, God-fearing people, or they provide a service that actually applies to what it is we're doing, period. I could have a sponsor for every day. I could be rolling down the street smoking Indo, sipping on gin and juice, but I'm not. And I'm out.